Is Space Engineers about to get a new engine for the video game? Developers at Keen Software House, the studio behind the game, have been showing updates on a new game engine they're developing. Now obviously, Space Engineers will not be switching game engines anytime soon, or at all. That would be rather damaging to the gameplay. But for a possible future game, such as Space Engineers 2 if we're going to call it that, this new engine development might give hints of what is to come to a future game. I should clarify, Space Engineers 2 isn't a thing as far as I know, it's just a nickname the community have coined for something it could be in the future. Hey everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome to my channel. We're talking about sci-fi gaming, so hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop. In the past 2 weeks, Jan Holschneck, otherwise known by his nickname of Chendo, and I'm so sorry if I butchered that name there Jan, the tech lead at Keen Software House, is working on both VRAGE 3 and Space Engineers. Now they've been sharing updates on what he and his team have been working on. Now, VRAGE 2.0 is what Space Engineers as a game currently runs on with its main game engine. It's worth noting in this video, we'll be talking about development features. As such, everything is subject to change in 2 years, for example, so that video might be outdated, just keep that in mind. Also, we'll be talking a lot about complicated game development mechanics, therefore I'll try and simplify what I can based on my own understanding of this and my conversation with the developers and community management staff. So keep that in mind, but if you've got any questions, ask them in the comment section below and we'll all try and help you out. So, VRAGE, otherwise known as Volumetric Rage, is an in-house engine developed by Keen Software House. The current active iteration of this game engine is VRAGE 2.0, which powers both Space Engineers and Medieval Engineers. However, the previous version, 1.0, powered Keen's first major game, Minor Wars 2081. However, we are now aware that development on VRAGE 3 has officially begun. On the 2nd of November, so earlier this month, Jan shared via Twitter that he and his team had begun working on VRAGE 3. Does this mean a new game is on the way? No, don't get your hopes up just yet. It's been said this is just a new game engine for now. Sadly, we can all pause the hype train for Space Engineers 2. However, let's not forget that Marek Rosa, the CEO of Keen Software House, has himself teased about future games at various points. So your guess is as good as mine, but again, with no official announcement, don't get your hypes carried away because, yeah, just don't. So what's new in this game engine? Well, a fair few things. We already have Marek stating that he expected volumetric water on a planetary scale to support the flow simulation, gravity, pressure, buoyancy, and surface tension to make its way into VRAGE 3. And we have seen testing of that earlier this year. Chendo revealed in a new tweet that work on the new engine has already been in development for over a year now. So let's focus on a few specific topics of what this new engine could present and some of the main features Keen have been talking about just from Chendo's tweets and also some other stuff in the past. Water is a topic that comes up frequently with Space Engineers. While we've all had our fun playing around with a water mod in-game, many want this to be an official feature. In April of 2022, Marek Rosa teased water in Space Engineers, while also confirming that research on VRAGE 3 had started. This matches, but slightly contradicts Chendo's statement of working on the engine for over a year, so yeah. Keen expects that water will become a major part of available gameplay features in their future games. Specifically, volumetric water is required to be simulated with all possible natural phenomena on a planetary scale. Therefore creating flows like rivers and waterfalls, all being interactive and allowing players to fully interact with it and manipulate it. I should point out that water you can see in-game right now is a mod for Space Engineers, and no, I have not got early access features or currently leaking something. I promise, please don't shoot me. However, you'll see some work in progress examples of this tech from the developers. They have experimented using existing technologies, such as smooth particle hydrodynamics, known as SPH. Keen have tested these before and outlined both pros and cons. Peter Maynard, senior lead programmer at Keen Software House, has previously done a guest blog post about the challenges of volumetric water in VRAGE, and how VRAGE 3 will help with this. I'll have this linked in the description below, but some examples of this volumetric water using different mechanics are on screen now as I'm talking about it. So what are the big difference between this engine and other engines, or specifically VRAGE 2.0? Well, one of the big differences between 2.0 and VRAGE 3.0 is the GPU-driven pipeline. This will allow for the GPU to feed itself with draw calls, freeing up the CPU significantly. An example of Space Engineers is using 3 cores dedicated to rendering. Building on graphics, the engine will adopt new APIs such as DirectX 12. Modern physics via Havoc 2022 and audio from Fmod Studio. Oh, also dynamic global illumination using ray tracing. Does it mean we're about to get Space Engineers with RTX on? Maybe in the future, but I wouldn't say yes just yet. A key detail to note is the approach to multi-platform from the start. Therefore, every decision the development team makes, they're taking other platforms into consideration. It's no secret that Space Engineers on Xbox was never the idea from the get-go. However, it's good to see that if there's something like this to happen again, such as Space Engineers on PlayStation or a new game on PlayStation, then the engine can support it from the get-go. Also, deeper modding possibilities are being worked on. This would allow modders to combine mods, make materials, and use a clear API. Very interesting if you ask me. While researching work on VRAGE 3, Chendo and his team have looked into what different game physics engines could offer games under Keen, particularly future games. They started looking at ways to improve on issues from Havoc 2012, which is the physics engine for Space Engineers. Notice 2012, that's almost a decade, or well over a decade over date now, out of date. They did look at Unreal Engine's Chaos, however this was unstable for high mass ratios and created things like phantom forces. Praise be to Clang. Nvidia's Physics 3 integrated with Unreal produced some interesting results, while Physics 4 also encountered issues with high mass ratios and wobbly joints. Now, Havoc 2022 was also tested. This appears to present the best options for the team going forward in a sense. It has stable constraint chains, zero phantom forces, and can support up to 100km worlds. You'll see some examples on screen right now, mainly things like Chendo experimenting with self-stabilizer constraint chains, which are under high mass ratios. From this example on screen, which might help you understand it, you can see how objects can support mass. Imagine this in a game like Space Engineers, where you're dropping blocks onto an object, maybe a floating platform with thrusters on it. You can see how it comes to life and would work in game. I'm trying to make it less complicated here, but I do realize it might be a lot to understand, so stick with me. The key thing is just apply it to how you would use it in a game like Space Engineers. Again, not saying these features are coming to Space Engineers, but you can sort of help you understand and visualize how it would work if you imagine it in SE. Now, an interesting feature of Havoc 2022 is it has aerodynamics. As you can see from Chendo's example, he lets go of an object, which proceeds to glide down in the environment experiment area, showing it has the properties of something fitting into aerodynamics. Very cool if you ask me, and a feature many players of Space Engineers have asked for a while. We've all tested the Plane Wings mod and flown and glided around, also parachutes as well, so aerodynamics have been wanted by the community for some time. Therefore, if the next game is going to use them, I'm a very happy boy already. A common question arises whenever we talk about updates to the architecture of Space Engineers and its back-end systems. Will this improve multiplayer? It appears VRAGE 3.0 will have an impact on how multiplayer is handled. According to Jan, new architecture means more concurrent players and large worlds on the same machine. This likely applies to local machines, such as our computers or dedicated server environments. Chendo also states that a data-oriented approach has an inherent impact on all systems. Therefore, so does multiplayer. Okay, I'll stop. We've gone over some heavy facts and a lot of information today. It's very clear that VRAGE 3 is in early development and has a long way to go. The main question you might all have is, does this mean there's another game coming? I'm going to answer this like a British politician. Yes and no. No, I don't think there's anything properly being worked on right now by Keen. Not with an engine so early in development like this. Yes, I would not be surprised if something is being concepted or planned right now. We're so early on, it makes sense to be planning for the future. The key thing to take away here is that times have changed in the past decade. Space Engineers is 10 years old in 2023. Therefore, if Keen are to make another game, say in the next 3 years, perhaps Space Engineers 2 like many have suggested and are also requesting, then it needs to be different and push the boundaries like its predecessor, to truly reach its potential and offer something new to a player base. We've all got dreams of what the next game should look like, and that's something we need to look into a bit more. When I personally think of another game in the same vein of Space Engineers, I begin to imagine something fantastic. I'll talk more about this in detail as we approach 2023 and beyond. However, the idea of aerodynamic features, perhaps fully volumetric water, and even complex and dynamic weather systems does sound fantastic. Like imagine piloting your ship through a lightning storm on a planet, or even hiding it underwater or perhaps behind a waterfall. It's clear that the work into VRAGE 3 is going to produce something exciting. However, it looks like it's going to be a long road getting there. The joys of game development. But that's mostly it for today. I'd like to thank both Chendo and Mark for being open and sharing these details to the public, so we as players who are interested in the behind the scenes tech can see what is in progress and is going on so far. Fear not, Space Engineers is still being actively supported, so don't panic, your favourite game is not about to vanish. Okay everyone, I've been Captain Jack talking to you about some magic game development today. I'm aware some of this might be a little bit more complicated, but if there's any particular feature we spoke about that you'd like to learn more about, let me know in the comment section below. And who knows, maybe we can talk to one of the keen development guys and maybe even Marek himself to fully explain what this feature actually means. There's nothing wrong with transparent development systems, providing it's not spoiling anything or ruining a surprise, as Marek has previously said. But at the same time, if you guys can understand how a great game like Space Engineers or even Medieval Engineers is made, I think it allows you to appreciate the game and the hard work the developers put into it. So keep that in mind. For now, I've been Captain Jack, bringing you the latest development updates on Space Engineers. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.